try something. Hey Bingqian.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Heard that you started freediving not so long ago. Wanna talk first about your journey?
Okay.
Okay, good. So maybe first, what brought you to freediving?
Wow, what brought me to freediving? I would say the love for ocean and the curiosity for trying new adventures, and eventually a really nice video of someone freediving that made me, kind of just really curious about the sport.
Oh, cool. I've heard that there may be some lobsters involved too.
Yes, okay. So my very, very initial desire to freedive was to be able to catch lobsters, because you cannot do that with scuba diving. And I heard that if you learn freediving, you can do that in some parts of the world. And yeah, that's kind of what got me initially interested in freediving. However, I still haven't been able to catch any lobsters or go for spearfishing where lobsters exist. So I'm looking forward to that happening one day.
Okay, cool. When did you start freediving?
I started about a year and a bit ago, so in summer 2021.
Okay, what was your first impressions about that first days in the water?
First days in the water was not very successful because I didn't have any freediving experience before, or even snorkeling. I didn't even really snorkel before, even though I did a lot of scuba diving for many years. I couldn't equalize with the frenzel technique, and I also couldn't duck dive because you don't need to do that in scuba. So yeah, first day was not successful at all. I couldn't go down because my ears couldn't equalize, and I tried the Valsalva equalization, like what you use in scuba mostly, but that didn't work for me either because I was head down position. So so the first day was very, very frustrating. But yeah, we continued trying.
Okay, I can totally relate to that. I think EQ issues are among the most popular problems
Yeah.
among the freediving community. And how did you unlock that?
So eventually what helped me was to do dry exercises, actually. So I took a day off and practiced the technique on land. I used a couple of YouTube videos that were really popular and known for basically exercises for frenzel, and just trying to activate the muscles, learn about the movement of the muscles that I didn't know before. And then one day, just actually on the same day, I did it for one day, and at some point it just kind of clicked. I realized, okay, this is the movement that I'm looking for. And from that onwards, it's just a matter of practicing to strengthen the muscles and to ensure it's strong enough to take you down. But I would say most of the exercises were to kind of get the idea of the movement, like what part of the muscle you need to move. And because it's something that us humans don't usually need on our day-to-day, that takes a while to get. And also not a lot of people know how to, or in the past we didn't really know how to teach that, but nowadays there are more, as we get more knowledge in freediving, there are more people who have method to teach frenzel. So I share those same videos with my friends who want to learn freediving, and yeah, it worked for them as well. So I would recommend those.
Okay, that's cool. Indeed, yeah, there are some naturally talented people for that, and some others like you and me, I guess, that struggle. And also as an instructor, I know it's something that a lot of students struggle at the beginning, and as an instructor it's not easy to teach because you don't see the muscles involved. But yeah, there's some good videos around. You have a name? One video that you would recommend first?
Yes, I do. So the three actually I've used three videos as reference. They all teach the same technique, but they kind of explain things a little bit differently. So the first one is from Adam Stern, and the second one was from Aaron Solomon, I think. That's
Yeah,
how you
very
say
famous
his
this
name.
one. Yeah, Aaron Salomon is
And
very famous.
The third one is from Pavel from Atlantis Freediving. And actually Pavel's video was the one that really kind of he talked about specific sounds. He asked you to make specific sound, and that helped me to understand the tongue movement. And then, combined with other videos, it really helped me to kind of grasp, okay, what is the movement that we're looking for?
How did you feel in front of a mirror doing these exercises?
Yeah, I mean, I realized this too late. I would say I should have practiced in front of a mirror at the beginning, because it really helped you to see, if you're doing certain movements right. And I didn't do that from the beginning, and it's only after a while, like after several hours of trying and not succeeding, I thought, okay, like since a lot of people mention, you should do it in front of the mirror, I should try. And then that really helped me to, capture, okay, like those movements are more correct than the others, and then slowly guide you towards finding the right movement, because it gives you that kind of feedback, right? You can see really what you're doing, and when you're moving the tongue, when do you see that right movement from outside also.
Okay, so we talked about technique and struggle, but what kept you on going? What can you tell us, like your first emotions with the water, with the freediving? What said, okay, I want to continue despite all these exercises I have to do?
Yeah, I think for me it's really the journey that I've been on. I fell in love with the feeling of freediving from the beginning, even though the beginning was not very successful. On day one was not very successful. I just really liked it. I like being in the water. I like the freedom of not having to carry a huge tank and all those equipment preparation, the simple, I would say, pleasure of being underwater, in the water, with some simple equipment. I think that gives me already a lot of joy. And then it's really the feeling of, I don't know, maybe you call it tranquility or calmness, or it's kind of a feeling that you are alone, but at the same time you're very connected to the world, the nature. You're being surrounded by water when you're diving, and your heart rate slows down. You're looking at beautiful scenery most of the time, whether it's a big blue or some amazing animals or underwater statue, or just a light rate going through the water. It's beautiful, it's mesmerizing, and I absolutely love that. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining. Hey.
So yeah, I really like that feeling. So that's one part of it, and the other part was also the journey of discovering the outside world and also the inside world, because freediving is a very introspective sport, as a lot of people would say. And when you are diving, especially when you're doing depth training, when you want to go deep, you have to shift that focus inward and pay attention to how you're feeling, what thoughts come up. And usually for me, a lot of unhelpful thoughts come up. So it's also about understanding yourself, accepting those patterns that came up, and find a way to work with it, find a way to deal with it, find a way to quiet the voices that are not helpful. So to me, that's a really interesting journey for me to be on, to know more about myself and to find ways to accept and work with myself. And yeah, lastly, it's, you know, exploring the external world. Right now we're in Baja California Sur, and, you know, we're in this beautiful part of Mexico. We're exploring, you know, the Pacific Ocean, the Cortez Sea, and just the amazing nature. It's incredible.
Cool. How deep do you go now?
My deepest dive was 55 meters to date, and this was about a couple months ago in Tenerife.
And was it a linear progression? Every week, a few more meters, or how did that happen?
Yeah, good question. So I don't live by the sea. I live in London normally, so I don't get to dive all the time. I don't get to train all the time. So for me, I try to utilize my holidays and also the freedom of the ability to work online, work remotely, to travel around the world, to travel to warmer places, and to dive in the sea. So when I started freediving, I actually stayed in Tenerife for about a month. And within that month, I went from 0 meters, so not able to dive at all, to about 40 meters, to about 39 meters at the end of the month. So, and also within that period, I would say I went through 2 stages. So the first stage was, you know, going from 0 to 20 meters, and the second stage was going from 20 to about 40 meters. And then after that, I didn't dive for a long time, or I didn't dive for a while. No, actually, that's not true. After that, I didn't progress the depth for quite a while, until a year later. So about a few months ago, I went to Tenerife again to do depth training, and that's when I went from 40 meters to about 55, yeah.
What struggle did you encounter in the meantime? Was it equalization, hypoxia, strength, fear of depth, mental fears?
I think for me, yeah, as I mentioned, I kind of went through the 3 stages in terms of depth training, between 0 to 20, 20 to 40, and 40 to 55. However, for me, the barrier or challenges was always equalization. It was always equalization. So from the beginning, it's getting a bit windy. From the beginning, you know, it was going from not being able to frenzel to being able to frenzel, which brought me from 0 to 20. And then I felt like my frenzel was coming to an end, or, you know, my lung was collapsing. I didn't have more air to equalize at around 20 meters, which we know that's, you know, nowhere near people's barrier usually. So I kind of know that I could probably go a bit more, but I didn't know how at the time. And so Linda from Atlantis Freediving gave me this exercise where you would exhale. So with empty lung, you would try to equalize, and then but not fully pinch your nose. So you would like kind of half pinch the nose, or 80% pinch the nose. So every time when you do an equalization, you lose a bit of air. And then, so with so sorry, got a bit distracted. So with that, every time when you equalize, you lose a bit of air to simulate the fact that you're losing air when you're going deeper, and that gives your body the chance to get used to this collapsed lung, as I call it, sensation. So as your body gets used to that, you know, actually, even with empty lung, you still have a lot of equalizations that you can do and a lot more air that you can use. And then I think it was the mental barrier that, you know, I overcome with that exercise. The next time, actually the next day, when I went back to the water with, you know, one afternoon of practicing using this exercise, I was able to break through that about 22 meter barrier, and I went to like 25, and then slowly, or quite quickly actually, within a week, I think I progressed to about 40 meters. Then the third phase was between 40 to 55 meters, and that's really also like, you know, when approached 40, I think for about a year I felt like I couldn't really dive much deeper anymore, and also this is where I think a lot of people, as I learned, a lot of people approach their maybe limit of frenzel, and they switch to learning mouthfeel at that stage. So you know, I thought I was also at the barrier, at the end of my frenzel limit, but then when I went back to Tenerife to train, I tried no limit. So there was a day that we just had the chance to try it. So we went for it, and I think I tried 20 meters to start with, just to learn, you know, how to use the sled and, you know, open the tank, and to know how to operate the system, and also so that to see if I freak out underwater, because I don't really want to do anything really risky. So 20 meters was great. I did it together with the instructor, and then I tried 30 meters, felt, you know, amazing. Then I tried 40, I think. Yeah, I think I tried 40 after that, and again it felt amazing. So last dive I tried 50, and I went there with frenzel. At that time I couldn't even do mouthfeel yet, so I had to do frenzel, and I was fully ready to, you know, stop halfway if I couldn't go anymore. But before I realized, I was already at 50. The frenzel was, you know, great, and I didn't even have that feeling of compressed lung or like collapsed lung that I would normally feel at 40. I was very, very surprised. So yeah, then coming back up, everything felt really great. That was when I realized, actually, okay, it was really a matter of relaxation and mentally, you know, knowing that I can do it. And with that experience, and afterwards, very, you know, smoothly, I just progressed to 50 and then 55 from, you know, what I was diving, I think 40, 42 meters with frenzel. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience for me, because it was like living. You hear it all the time, like a lot of people say, okay, a lot of the barriers are in your mind, but living through it yourself is very different. So for me, that was a really, really interesting experience.
Okay, so videos and dry exercises and some coaching for the equalization issues, and no limit for the relaxation and mental part.
Yes, good summary.
Okay. So, back to your daily routine.
My daily routine.
Do you
oh
have
gosh,
any?
I don't have any daily routine. My routine is to sleep until, I don't know, 1 p.m. I don't know.
I guess for relaxation that works well.
Yeah, no, I'm not the best person to give any advice or even reference point for routine. I think for me, because I can't train where I live. I mean, I can in the pool, but I can't really, you know, go to the sea. I don't really train in the pool, and I can't go to the sea until, you know, I book a holiday. So for me, it's very kind of sporadic. Is that how you say it? Like periodic. You know, I have a period where I would go to the sea and try to train there, while work remotely maybe, and then there will be other parts where I just do almost nothing when I, you know, suffer in my London apartment. No, just like, yeah, I don't really do a lot when I'm in London.
Okay. So what's the next step now?
Next step, yeah, good question. I don't really know. I don't have a plan for freediving. I never had a plan, actually. I never sort of said to myself, I need to go to this depth, or I want to compete, or you know, I want to progress this much. I never really made that kind of plan. So for me, it's just, I know I enjoy diving. I know I enjoy those sensations. I enjoy training. I actually really miss training right now. So for me, it's just like, you know, I like doing this, therefore I'm gonna plan some trips where I can do that. So, but actually before coming here, I thought to myself, actually, most of the holidays that I planned for diving was for training. and 55 is not so deep for a lot of deep divers. You know, it's not like a national record or a world champion depth, nowhere near, but for me it's actually quite deep already, and going beyond that, maybe I will do, maybe I will not. I will continue to train and see what happens, but I think it's a good depth to reach, and I'm very happy being there already. I mean, I was very happy being at 10 meters already. So 55 is a lot more than the kind of goal that I set to myself, if I really had a goal back then. So that's also why I came here to, you know, try a different kind of freediving, seeing wildlife and, you know, seeing them underwater, seeing them in their natural, you know, living environment, natural habitat, and being part of that, being an observer, or if they wish to, being an, you know, someone that they can interact with underwater, really free. This is almost the first time that I'm doing this, because before that, for 10 years, I was scuba diving, and, you know, it's also very cool seeing them underwater, but you have all those bubbles, and sometimes some sharks or animals or you know, marine life, they're scared of the bubbles, and now I feel like I can get much closer to them, and they get much more curious when I don't have, you know, this huge tank around me and bubbles coming out of me every now and then. So yeah, it's been a really good experience.
Can you describe one of this encounter?
Yes. Okay, where to start, or which one to pick? I think the most special encounter would be with 3 humpback whales that we had the luck to interact with. We were in the water, you know, it was a day when we went out fishing with the local fishermen, and we did some diving because, you know, I was with another freediver, yourself, and we decided that we're gonna do some diving, and then all of a sudden 3 humpback whales showed up underneath us, and they were super curious. They decided to interact with us, and they got super close to us. Before that, we saw some whales, but, you know, kind of just mostly from the boat, and they dived down really deep very quickly. So you know, I thought that's what an encounter is like. You just kind of watch them from the boat, or watch them pass by really, really quickly. But that time they really came to us, and they, you know, got close to us. They kind of stretch out their flippers. They were very, very gentle around us. I mean, we were very careful, you know, try not to disturb them or be hit by their tails, because they are gigantic still compared to us. But yeah, they were very calm, and they swam with us. We dived together, you know, we came up to the surface for air together, we dived down together again. They were faster than me, so they would like kind of swim away, but then, you know, I was just there, and they would turn around to come back to me. So yeah, that was like a very, very special encounter. And yeah, I think I wouldn't call it life-changing, because I feel like this phrase is maybe a little bit overused, or I don't know, just sound a bit cliche, but it's definitely one of the most special moments that I've had in my life. Yeah. And I missed it already a lot. I miss them.
Yeah, the light is changing. Okay, new setting, still nice. So, could you try to describe your best dive? What was going on in your head on the way down? Even the preparation, was there some stress? What struggle did you face during the dive, if you had any? How you overcome it? How the turn happened?
Oh wow!
Coming up.
Okay, first of all, I don't really have a best dive. I don't know how to pick. Like,
what's your reference dive? You don't have a reference dive?
No, I don't. Wait. I don't really have one, but I remember like snippets of certain dives that I really, really enjoyed. So I think sometimes I just, like those moments came to mind. Like for instance, when I was in Cyprus, This was, I believe, a pre-competition dive. Like I was doing some just practice dives. I participated in this competition by accident. So I was like not diving deep or anything. I think I announced 30 meters, 30 and 35 meters. But there was this hand that was so nice, and I think it was my first, maybe even my first dive back in the water when I arrived at Cyprus. So yeah, it was like a really, really good feeling. You know, there was no current, it was really calm, and I remember I was just hanging there feeling, wow, like really feeling the ocean and feeling the exact reason why I love freediving, which is, you know, all the calmness and just feeling embraced by the ocean and feeling that this is where I belong. So I think those are, you know, some of the moments that I remember that I really enjoyed. And when I was training in Dahab, Fede and Dave Magoo, I was training with them, and both of them were saying, you know, you try to find the good feelings of freediving again, because I think at that time I lost it a little bit. So I really try to remember those feelings and finding it back, and I think those are my reference dives. Like I'm not really that focused on technique, I think. I mean, I am, but I'm not, you know, like I don't dive 100 meters. So for me, it's really whatever that I'm struggling or working on in that moment or during that phase of training. Like sometimes it's equalization, like frenzel, and then, you know, later on I started learning mouth feel, so that would be like something that I try to practice. Sometimes it will be just my mind, like, you know, my mind was freaking out all the time, or sometimes it will be for a long period of time I was training only constant weight, and then, you know, a couple months ago I shifted to free immersion, and I never trained free immersion really. You know, I did a few dives and that's about it. So I think at the time my PB for constant weight was maybe 40 something, and free immersion I think I went to 30. So it was a lot of managing the mind, not to freak out and trust that, you know, I can do it, because there was a lot of self-doubts. I was like, no, I would not have the strength to be able to pull up so many meters. So yeah, like those are really, I think, the reference points for me, just thinking about the good feelings. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just rambling.
So we talked about like open water, depth disciplines. Do you like pool?
I do not like pool. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I like pool. I never trained in pool. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you like static?
I actually don't dislike static.
Okay.
I didn't train it too much, but I think it's cool. Yeah.
Wanna share your happy place or the story you tell yourself during a static?
I also don't have one.
No?
Like everyone has a happy place. I don't know if I have one.
Well,
I don't
let's
know where
find it.
my mind goes everywhere. I mean, maybe now I will. Maybe after this, you know, Baja experience, I will have a happy place. But I don't know where my mind goes when I do static. I think I try to find something to look at, maybe. I keep my eyes open. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I close them. As you can tell, I don't have like a very strong discipline of my routine yet. So right now it's just exploring. I think that's the theme for my freediving journey, which is exploring, try things out and see how it goes and see how I feel.
What advices would you give to new freedivers or just people interested in trying out
freediving? I think the biggest piece of advice, if I can give advice, is to try, explore and enjoy the process, because I think a lot of times when we think about trying a new thing, be it freediving or something else, we have a lot of fear and we have a lot of barriers and limitations that we put on ourselves. And you know, it's definitely the case for me. So I would say don't think too much, just try it, you know, see how it goes. And if you like it, then, you know, continue doing it. And then technically, I would say try to practice frenzel before you plan your first freediving training. I think that would be really beneficial, because if you can do frenzel dry already, you have a much higher chance of passing your first certification, first course of freediving. It's something that is more productive or effective or efficient when you practice dry than try to figure it out in the water. I think a lot of instructors would probably say that as well. So nowadays, when my friends want to, you know, come for like a first course or get into freediving, the first thing that I share with them will be those videos so that they can practice ahead of time and get prepared.